As we get started, though, I just want to remind you that Time Bandit is available on Amazon. If you want to pick up the book, it's a short read, and it hit the Amazon bestseller list on the day we launched it for short reads. So it keeps to the name of Time Bandit, where you're stealing back time, but you can still read a small book. So, Brad, really excited to see you. Happy New Year, and let's maybe start with an introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Michael. Really glad to be here. My name is Brad Hairston. I live in Dallas, and I've spent 30 some odd years in consulting. And then 5 years ago, I joined Blue Prism. So I went over to the dark side, as they say, into software, and really enjoyed that career pivot. It's been a ton of fun. I work with our kind of partner organization. But I also do a lot of other things around thought leadership. I do a lot of writing and speaking and podcasting and anything that can help influence our partners and our customers to leverage automation more effectively. So that's what I'm all about. But really glad to be here. Thanks for having me on, Michael, another Rangers fan like me. So
that's right. We got to stick together. So it's good to hear. And I want to talk a little bit more about Blue Prism as we get through this, but I want to start with our basic questions that we do on every Time Bandit in 10. So the first one is time wasters. Do you have something that just drives you crazy out there that you find yourself wasting too much time doing?
This is going to sound funny, but I would say meetings are the biggest time waster for me. I absolutely, my worst days from a productivity standpoint are the days that I'm just back to back to back in meetings. And I have a lot of colleagues that when you look at their schedule, they're literally blacked out from the start of the day to the end of the day. So for me, that's absolutely my biggest time waster. I recently saw something from Elon Musk about his 6 rules of productivity, I think, or something like that. But I think half of them were about meetings. And he was saying, we're not going to have meetings that are too frequent or too long. And if you're not contributing to the meeting in some way or adding value, you have his permission to not participate. I thought, wow, that's pretty good. So that may be one of the only things I thought Elon said recently that made a lot of sense. But meetings to me, that's the biggest time waster of them all.
Yeah, it is. And it's just so, it's almost an endemic of the way you just get invited, or people, and they're not even sure that you need to be there, but you're part of the group. So they invite you. And I did write about it a little bit. I think I've had a blog about it. And in the book, I mentioned it as a time waster. I'm with you on that one. That one is something that you have to sometimes accept them because of who's inviting you. But there's also this reality that, I'm not really needed in this meeting. So and you're wondering, what are you going to do with the time? And not look like you're doing something else while you're on the call, right? Because everybody wants you on video. So, okay, that's great. Yeah. So transition from the biggest time waster that you experience and you want to warn others about. What about your best time saving tip?
Well, as it relates to meetings, and meetings, you can't avoid them. They're a fact of life. But what I've done specifically for that, especially if I'm controlling the scheduling and what have you, is I make sure there's always transition between meetings. And what I mean by that is not just 5 minutes, but literally at half an hour, maybe an hour, to the extent that I can. And I also do my best to avoid being just one of the add-ons, like you just mentioned, meetings that have 10 people. You get past 5 or 6, I think, and you really got to start to question the value you can add. And so I'm pickier about the meetings I attend. I also find that there's a lot of meetings in my calendar, and you may see the same thing. There's a lot of good educational meetings that are being presented that are always recorded. And if it's not a meeting that I'm asked to provide any feedback, I'm literally just attending and watching. I'll just avoid it and then go back and watch the recording at a better time where I can kind of speed through it a little bit and pick and choose the parts that I want to absorb. So those are some basic things, but to me, it's just about booking, making sure you have margin, you have time blocked out in your schedule for creative work. If I don't do that, my week is shot because people will say, wow, Brad's available and let's just fill it up with meetings. And I need to have that time to do the real important stuff. So that's what I do.
Yeah, I think there's two things I'd like to add on there. A person I know he's a CEO of a company, and he started using Loom in replace of meetings. So he uses Loom recording, and you could use. There's other competitors out there. I'm not sure who they are. Vidyard, maybe somebody. But when he wants to just share something with his team, he records a video and shares that with them instead of booking a meeting. And if they have questions, they can always write back or something like that. But that's kind of an interesting trick to take some of those times off your calendar. The other thing that you said there about giving you a buffer between meetings and giving everyone a buffer between meetings, it's interesting because I tried an experiment where I offset start times to either 5 after or 10 after the top or bottom of the hour. Freaked everybody out. They were like, they were on 5 minutes early, 10 minutes early, even though I clearly said it starts at 3:10 or what have you. So I started taking the bottom half of the meeting and clipping it. So it's 25-minute meetings, 40-minute meetings, things like that. And it works a little better. There's still some time people run over, but the nice thing about it is it kind of blocks them off for the hour or for the 30 minutes, and they get a little at the end. So it's a little trick. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. But I was baffled at the start time differentiation. It just didn't take that way. So it's no secret. I've worked with ActiveOps, and we're partners with SS&C Blue Prism, and we enjoy that partnership when customers get a tremendous amount of value. And a lot of it is around time. So maybe if you could, just a little bit about why intelligent automation gives back time to an operation, if you don't mind. It doesn't have to be a commercial. Maybe it's just an observation or a customer.
Yeah, no, one of the things I love about what I do and what Blue Prism is all about is most companies, I can't think of a single company that's not rethinking the way they operate. They're rethinking what their people are doing day in, day out, because they realize their most valuable asset is their human labor. And every company has way too much work that people are doing that really shouldn't be done by humans. And what's the simple way to categorize that? It's anything that doesn't take advantage of or require human characteristics or innately human skills. So if it doesn't require intuition or creativity or decisioning or motivation or inspiration or any of those things, it's probably something that humans shouldn't be doing. It should be done in other ways. And so that's what intelligent automation is all about. It's about providing a digital workforce to companies so they can give all of that mundane, repetitive, busy work. They can give all that to the digital workers, and the human workers are freed up to do the real enjoyable work. And studies have been done to show that when we are doing work that taps into our innately human skills, the work is more enjoyable, it's more fulfilling. We tend to stick around. We don't leave. We don't get disengaged. So the benefits to the human workers, I mean, not only are you getting more productivity out of them, but you just have a labor force that's more empowered. They're more inspired, and they do better work. And so it's a win-win-win all the way around. Some would look at us or look at the industry and look at automation and AI and say, it's about replacing humans. It's really not about replacing humans. It's about replacing all of the mundane, repetitive work that bogs us down with a digital labor force that can come in and do that with speed and efficiency and quality and all those things. So, I think and leveraging ActiveOps and partners like that, putting the two together, digital workers plus what you guys do with ActiveOps. I mean, it's a combination that's really, really powerful. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that this year, combining digital workers with intelligent skills like Gen AI, which is the latest to show up and is really amazing.
Yeah. And I like that because it kind of is the ultimate time bandit. We talk about in the book, at least I talk about, giving yourself back time to focus on what matters most.
That's
and
right.
while those mundane things matter, if you can delegate those and focus on the things that you enjoy, like you said, the employee experience is going to be so much better for companies. So we're almost up to the 10 minutes. So I keep these short for a reason, but I do want people to be able to find you and carry on the conversation with you, Brad. So how you mentioned your podcast and anything else you want to mention that they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a podcast that Blue Prism has sponsored and produced. I'm one of the co-hosts, and we put out an episode every week. It's called Transform Now. You can find it on Apple, Google, or Spotify. Beyond that, if you want to reach out and connect with me on LinkedIn, I welcome that. Easy to find, and I love connecting with people and building new relationships in our space. So please do look forward to that. And
Excellent.
Michael, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Good to see you, and always good to talk to you about these types of things. I really appreciate your perspective. And I'll when I post this on LinkedIn further, I'll ask some questions about that meeting. How do you avoid meetings? Maybe the wrong word, but how do you plan for meetings that you shouldn't be in? So great tips. Thanks so much, Brad. Have a wonderful week and a great month ahead.
You too, Michael.